You start, you get your product market fit, but then eventually you need to mortgage your house. You don't get the financing. You're doing 6 different jobs. You need to hire specialists. You cannot hire them because you're alone. And then for those that can go further, capital requirement and expertise is just too big. So we said, we've got all the characteristics to build portfolio, build a group. We're going to build some tech to automate the whole thing. And that's how we started.
In this episode, I'm talking to Alexandre Renaud, CEO and co-founder of Nolk, a company that buys direct-to-consumer businesses and helps them scale. They've acquired 14 companies since 2018. We're going to talk about, number one, what they look for when buying businesses. They're buying about 2 to 4 businesses per year right now. Number 2, where are they spending most of their marketing budget? And number 3, the secrets behind their email marketing effort. It's their number 1 most efficient channel right now. We're also going to try to figure out their current revenue and the valuation of the recent 30 million Canadian dollars Series A round. And if you can't answer a question, we both have to take a shot of hot sauce. Wish me luck, Martians. Hope you enjoy this one. Hello, Martians. Welcome back to another episode of Marketing on Mars. Today, we have a very special guest, as usual, Alexandre Renaud. He is currently the co-founder and CEO at Nolk. Nolk is they buy e-commerce companies that do good, right? So they have like some kind of value or like a mission, and they help them scale. So since 2018, they've acquired 14 companies. They're buying about 2 to 4 companies per year, and apparently the acquisition sizes are getting larger and larger. So really excited to talk to Alex and hear everything about Nolk. Alex, thank you so much for joining the show.
Hey, fantastic. Pleasure, Simon. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah. And so Alex, I'm going to give you, I'll do like a brief little intro of you. I'm probably going to butcher it. And then you're going to jump in, you're going to save me. Okay. Perfect. You're going to protect me. Okay. So Alex, the reason why we got Alex on the show, his background is incredible. He's been in the online space for a long time, closing in 20 years, I think. Yeah, it's been a long time. So he worked with companies like premiumbeat.com, the royalty-free music library. He was a COO there. He's also a GM of Shutterstock, and we all know Shutterstock. He was there for 3 years, and then board member for a company called Design Stripe, moved over to Nolk in 2018, and the company has just been massively growing, buying companies like we mentioned, 2 to 4 different companies per year, and just scaling from there. Alex, save me. Tell me a little bit about your background. And
that's pretty accurate, Simon. Well, what I could add that could be interesting for everyone is I'm coming from a small entrepreneur background family. And at age 12, 13, I was working in the store, like with my dad. That's where like I got the gist, like on the entrepreneurial journey. Otherwise, first business called Logic Media, doing website 1999 with my long-term friends, and then co-investor and partner also in Nolk, Francois. Since then, yeah, we started a bunch of different company in the online and creative space. Nolk is my 5th business. So, an interesting path. Yeah, 5th. Yeah, number 5. Yeah.
Wow. So you've been an entrepreneur since you were young, basically. I've always been involved with some kind of stuff.
Right. I guess when I was very young, like was a Lego fan and just wanted to build stuff. I guess my neighbor was finding me. They were finding me annoying. Like I was trying to sell my drawing at 5 and 6 years old, trying to get like some sense there. But yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So we're going to dive into everything in a little bit. But before that, the theme of the show, as you know, is we're going to start the show off with a little shot of hot sauce. And I'm going to be asking you tough questions because your company is growing. And we want to know how you're growing the company. We want to know all the secrets, things that you're probably not going to share to other people. We're going to try to get it out of you. And anytime you cannot answer a question, we'll do another shot of hot sauce.
Ready?
All right. So what do you got today? What's your weapon of choice?
I've got a bunch. Trying to be very Canadian, so I've got this sauce piquante Saint-Zaccharie, so habanero with a hint of maple. There's no rating on it, so this one is a surprise. Seems to be pretty strong. I've got an extreme one as well if it gets like too big, which is more of a Louisiana type.
Okay.
And I've got a moderate one if I'm...
All right. Alex is you're based in Montreal.
Exactly, which explained the accent.
The French accent, if you guys haven't already figured out. But anyways, we'll do it. I'll let you decide whichever one.
I'll try the one that I don't know, and I'm having tortilla as well, like to get it.
Good. All right, I'm gonna pour this in.
Oh, this one is quite thick.
It is. This one's really thick too. I'm running out of. Oh, you already went. Okay. Well, cheers.
Yep. Et voila.
Voila. Okay. Oh my God. It is really, really spicy. Ooh. Okay. So Nolk, tell us maybe in a couple of sentences what exactly. Oh my God, it's really spicy. I don't know. How are you doing?
It's actually not too bad, but yeah, it's stuck there. So yeah, my print.
Yeah, my face is getting red. Oh my God, this is not good. So Nolk, tell us maybe in a couple of sentences what exactly Nolk does, and maybe just a background on how it got started and everything.
Right. So I got started after we sold PrMV to Shutterstock, and after the Shutterstock journey, like me and my business partner were looking what's the next thing. And you have to remember that we're in 2017. You've got that whole unicorn craze with WeWork, Uber, all that, and then you can see that multiple like don't make sense pretty much, and that valuation is kind of through the roof. We know interest rate is low, and we said that whole thing like will actually explode eventually. And we say we want something stable. So first criteria, want something more stable. So we decided to go in physical good because we saw like hybrid physical good tech. First criteria. Second, we didn't want to take 10 years to build another SaaS business. We want something that scaled faster. So we say, what space can we buy and scale something that is very fragmented? Second. And third, fit business. We did an exit. We say, well, we want to have something with a component, an impact component to it, or something that could have an impact on everybody's life. So that's how we look at the landscape and say, hey, you know what? Like so many DTC brands are being created. A lot of them actually scale fast, like they start fast, but very difficult to scale. So essentially easy to start, difficult to scale. We talked to a bunch of founders and it was always the same story. So you start, you get your product market fit, but then eventually you need to mortgage your house. You don't get the financing, or you're doing 6 different jobs. You need to hire specialists. You cannot hire them because you're alone. And then for those that can go further, the capital requirement and expertise is just like too big. So we said, we've got all the characteristics to build a portfolio and a group. And so we're going to build a group. We're going to build some tech to automate the whole thing and group. And that's how we started. Yeah.
Wow. So did you start it with the same founders that for your first 4 businesses, or different founders?
Yeah, well, Francois, Francois and I, like we know each other since we're 13 years old. We were high school best buddies, and so we had one business together, then another one. Premium Beat, he founded Premium Beat. Like I joined after to buy back like his dad, and then we started to scale the business together. And we're running a family office also where we do minority investment, like seed investment, and different business. And then we started Nolk. But it's always been clear that I'm running Nolk day to day. He's running another business that we started, this Stripe that you mentioned before. So this has also been funded by our family office, but he's running it full time. So good story, I guess.
Wow. So you and Francois, your main business partner, you guys are Batman and Robin. You guys have been doing this for a long time together.
Yeah. Well, when you develop like good relationship like with people, when you're able to stop project and still be friends and go through tough time like a cash crunch, drop in business, all sorts of things like that, and then you can continue to do that, like that's a big sign. So you stick with those people that are close to you, like that can complement you also in some way.
Okay.
So that's been super valuable. Like everybody's saying the same thing, but surround yourself like very well with not people that are like you, but people that are very different than you. So I really appreciate having a lot of people around that bring something different to the table. And I'm trying every day to listen properly, like and see like how you can gauge and challenge yourself. I think that's the most difficult as entrepreneurs, that sometimes you have an idea so strong, the vision is there, you want to go like full on, but my biggest fear is to miss something along the way. And so if you're well surrounded, people will tell you if you're actually running into a wall or if you're about to do something dumb. If you're doing everything by yourself, you might run a chance that you hit the wall at some point. So at least for me, that has been like one principle like that I've been trying to operate on.
Right. And for anyone that's listening right now, by the way, if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the comments for Alex. We'll try to answer them, and if you can't answer any questions, same thing, and the same rules apply. There will be hot sauce consequences. But so going back to like different strengths, you said everyone has different strengths. What do you think you bring to the table, and what does Francois bring to the table? I assume you guys synergize and work very well.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I'm you saying like if you look at the basic spectrum, I think in entrepreneurship in general, you get the visionary type and the building type, and you need both at different stages. They're more important and on my side, I'm really from a building standpoint. Get make things happen is really a motto, and we'll stick with a few ideas that are very like precious and seen as executable, and then like, build the whole thing and run for it and make it happen. So it's more, in the exploration and product side, like in trying new thing and be on trend and like more that visionary, like 5-10 years and like that by bouncing like those ideas back and forth, like between us two, we're getting something that is stronger. That being said, for Nolk, like in the early days, we had a lot of that dynamic in the first or second year. But then eventually Nolk is an operation heavy business, M&A, finance focus and all that. So that's where actually Design Stripe was started. Also because we knew this space before from Premium Beat, and also has a couple of strong ideas that he wanted to try. So he went and run on that. And Nolk is a business that suits me very well in terms of my capacity and with what I'm trying to run. So voila.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, let's dive into the first couple of hot sauce questions. Want to know where Nolk is at in terms of a company. Just so we can have some ballpark figures. First question: did your company raise anything at all? And maybe we'll start there.
Okay. Raise. Happy you mentioned that. Last fall, we announced that we've completed our Series A last summer. So after 4 years, we start small with small acquisition, like 100K business, 250, 1 million, and so on. But then eventually we say, okay, I think we've made enough like small mistake. We know what's working. We're ready to go bigger. So we went in the market like to find like bigger investor, and we were looking for a purpose-led investor. And we brought like 2 institutional from Canada, plus a third one as well. Probably less known than the rest of Canada, but FSTQ, it's a $20 billion fund. There's 800,000 people, essentially people investing their money for retirement. It started as a workers fund to save business in the 80s, and it migrated toward a full professional funds after. So they were a lead investor. So they're super aligned with what we're trying to build by buying, company that do good, buying them, scaling their evergreen fund as well. So they're going to be able to come to be with us from Series A, B, and plus. We get Fundraising, which is another one also based in Montreal, a smaller fund, like about 5 billion or so. And EDC, Export and Development Canada, like for those Canadians that know it, like they do invest in company from time to time that export and can become Canadian champion. We're buying company internationally, so that's good for the country. So those three together, like we did a round of 22 million, and we converted also a safe that we had before. So for a total of 30 million raise last summer.
Okay. Is that in USD or Canadian?
Canadian, yeah.
30. Okay.
The queen, but now the king on it, like eventually.
Queen and the king, yeah. So $30 million raise. Okay. What valuation was that Series A at?
Yeah. So happy to share a lot of number, but that one I'm going to take. Take it out. That's all. Yeah. No.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. So that one, like I'm gonna protect my group, and I'm gonna try the big one. So so a good lump of it.
Cheers.
Woo. Cheers. Yeah. That one is strong enough. I might lose voice.
Is that the Louisiana?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. So valuation undisclosed, but obviously big funds that are investing in your company. So
exactly. So for those of you that are more in finance topic and stuff, like those institutional funds, they're looking to do 4 or 5 times their bet typically over the 5 years or so. So we're not in full crazy unicorn mode and so on, but more cozy, more private equity, I would say, because we're buying and deploying money but it's a Series A, so we have space for a couple to come.
Right. And the seed round, correct me if I'm mistaken, the seed round basically was just you guys, right? Just you and your founder.
Yeah, we did most of it, and it also with our fund, but we brought entrepreneur friends as well with us.
Okay.
Great people, like, Josh Felker, Guillaume Racine, also like great entrepreneur that were, Guillaume is still very active with us. Like he's our chairman now. We're still working together like a lot. Josh has been very active on our data platform in the past, TS Wire. And then a couple of other ex-founders and entrepreneurs that we know in our network. But the only VC that we have is Panache. Well-known Canadian VC, but Panache is owned by essentially friends and people we know. So one of them say, well, if you want to bring us in, you have to bring Panache in. So, all right. Yeah, fine with it.
So obviously for people listening, Alex is a seasoned startup entrepreneur. He's raised money, he's sold companies, he's built companies. So for him to raise $30 million within 4 years, it's not like it was harder to raise money on your first couple, right? And then it gets easier over time when you have built a track record. Yeah, exactly. And I'm curious to hear your thought on this. We had someone come on from the CEO of Far Shore Capital. They're like a VC company based in Silicon Valley, and they're also a software development agency. And founder said something very interesting. He said, startups you shouldn't start your company with the goal of fundraising. Right? Because then, I want to hear your thoughts on that, actually.
Yeah, no, fundraise and it's just getting the resource to achieve what you want to build, not the other way around. Getting such of money is not what you're building. And that probably got lost like in that whole, craze of VC valuation and stuff. And at some point, you're not a number, like your business needs to contribute to real people and raise value and be useful to the employee, the investor, and the customer. If you don't do that, valuation doesn't matter and it will crash eventually. It becomes just a financial play. if anything, I'm actually happy that the early business we struggle and we were eating very lightly, ramen and a kind of tuna. Is you better make your mistake on your own money and put only what you can lose on the table. That's also a second thing. I saw that a couple of times with founders. If you cross the line and you go all in to the point where you could lose something that you're not ready, you don't accept that you could lose that, then this is where like it can destroy life or be very difficult after. But it's a nice thing now with the internet. You have access to a lot of so many resources like your podcast, Simon, and things like that you can get that feedback. Pre-internet and even like early 2000, like it was not very developed. Like you still buy a book, and you had to join certain circle like to get that kind of feedback. Nowadays, everything is that you just need to be curious and worry about some of your instinct from time to time.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to go back to what you said back before. Money just it's a resource that allows you to do more, right? So you started Nolk 2018. The landscape is very different now compared to back in 2018. 2018, e-com was still booming. Dropshipping. Nowadays we say dropshipping is dead, but back then dropshipping still wasn't dead. It was still a thing.
True.
The world has changed a lot now. Inflation is super high. People's disposable incomes are lower. Are you still very bullish on e-com right now? And
so that I'm super happy you asked the question, Fred, because yesterday we was chatting with my exec team and I was chatting with Francois as well. And we said, well, we're going back to that original napkin idea. We're pretty much exactly where we wanted to be. It's just the road to get there has been different, but we're where we wanted to be. And 2018, we didn't want to game Amazon or game dropship or trying to extract something from the market. Remember, I said we want to consolidate a fragmented market. We want to build a real business with physical good that is profitable, that delivers some cash flow and stuff like that, not full burn. We want to develop a brand that do good. And nowadays, what we're seeing is that I'm looking at data from Klaviyo, MasterCard, and Visa on where e-commerce is coming. E-commerce will still grow. It's just we're comparing COVID dope year with what it is. But the truth is that e-commerce has been linearly growing. The adoption curve has been continuing like that. So that's a fundamental trend that's not going to change. Second fundamental trend.
Even this year with all.
Even this year, you're looking at Q4, and I think Klaviyo is that hugely adopted email system, and they say that their merchant have been experiencing 7 to 10% more sales in a quarter, and same thing for MasterCard for e-commerce specifically. So that's volume of transaction on e-com actually has been continued to grow, and that's crazy when you think that 2021 was a massive year for e-com as well. So it's slowing. Some people might experience, a lot of people I think are experiencing decreasing. We saw it, we review a lot of business but we're sustainable product, people are more conscious about what they're buying. We only buy company that have their own IP. It's all our design, it's all our product. 70% of what we're selling is non-Asian made. I'm saying that because there's certain sensibility as well, to that. It's all more premium product as well, more emphasis on design. So I think people are buying maybe less, but better. And they're more conscious about what they're purchasing. So of course, if you're in the business of dropship and you're selling a Me Too product with slapping a logo on it, that play doesn't work anymore. The play of get rich fast on Amazon, you get an Alibaba product, slap a logo on it, and you get rich. That has passed. We've tried in 2018 a little bit, and we say, wow, that is not working. Even back then. Don't get fooled.
Yeah.
You cannot, Yeah. So fundamentally, like we're very positive now that the multiple for acquiring business and founders, like no more the reality. There's no more like magic unicorn world. Like you can make good money, but it requires diligent work and sensible work. So now we can bring brands in the group with structure that are very interesting for both founders and ourselves as well, and we can get bigger together. So I'm actually super positive. It's going to clean up a lot of the mess and noise of the past 2-3 years. And I could talk to you a lot about like the
We'll dive into it all.
Yeah. Okay. Go for it.
Dive into it all. So 2018, another interesting thing about 2018 versus now was maybe back then, because it was, drop shipping, a lot of companies could just create a Me Too product, throw some ads, and you'll get results right away. You'll get an ROI somehow with ads. Nowadays, consumers have seen so many Me Too products. Those same ads that worked in 2018 will never work now. And
this is gone.
Right? That stuff is gone. Does that then mean that your CAC, what are you seeing in terms of trends for e-commerce CAC? Has that decreased, increased? What are you seeing? Like, what are the trends?
You have to look at it on a per channel basis and also on a per product category. Again, 10 years ago, Facebook ads, Google ads, there've been a lot of inflation there. Their performance have decreased. Facebook specifically a lot, not just because of the iOS stuff, but also in general, like people are less active on the platform. Instagram's still okay. And there's no new other platform like TikTok, Snapchat, those kind. Nobody replaced really what Facebook was, I would say. Google is still, okay, but it depends on what you're selling. So what I'm saying is that the ad dollar, it's more difficult to add something very predictable. So I'm going to pick $1. It's going to give me that. That yield is kind of shrinking every year.
The CAC has increased a lot too.
Yeah, CAC is increasing essentially. Yeah, true. But then there's other channel where email is fantastic. Like email, people continue to open their email if you have a point of view and you have something to say to your customer, like they do open, they do listen, and that has been a fantastic channel. Social, if you have the right influencer, authentic influencer that talk authentically about your product and so on, that is working super well. So it's fragmented, but if you do real thing, it's gonna stick. And those things are actually, they cost less. So what we've seen is our total advertising budget is actually decreasing, and we're still growing, but we're investing less and getting less performance from ads.
Wow.
Long answer, but that's pretty much the trend I can tell.
So it sounds like email is doing really well for you guys. What's the...
Yeah.
Is that your most efficient channel right now?
I would say price-wise, I would say that is.
Right. What are we looking at in terms of CAC for email?
It's gonna be another hot sauce collection.
I send something there. Okay, we'll take a hot sauce shot for this one.
Right.
But is there anything? Maybe I'll wait for the next question. Give me a second.
There we go. Good.
All right. So, folks, I think we're onto something. I think Alex, something. Let's see if we can extract anything. One works in email. Tell us whatever you can share for email. Well, give away the hot sauce, the secret sauce.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Well, let's start with your what you have to say. So the beauty nowadays is that it's beyond the product. Like at least in our product category, like we're not selling commodity. Like we're selling everyday product, but they all have characteristic and element that we can actually tell something about it. So I would say email is about like I would say the editorial pace and what kind of content and what you're providing. Are you being useful like with the customer? Like, are you helping them use your product? Are you helping them discover how other customers are doing? Are you helping them with for example, Canna or Kitchen Brand, like, recipe. It's a very easy one, but we hire a chef there and there, and they're using our product. Like, so, you can do a bread, like in a Dutch oven, like, or this is a super quick and easy recipe, like to do a cookie in 5-10 minutes, like, or thing like that. Those type of email are being read, and open, like, and follow, like, by a high factor. And that drives like repeat and conversation, like with the customer along that side. Other type of thing. So it's not that much the channel, but how you use it. So I would say it's more about the content. Rachel, one of our fantastic, that brand in our group has the highest engagement. Like we have a month with repeat rate beyond the 50%, close to 60% sometimes.
Wow.
And what they do is they do effectively co-creation campaign, where they say, oh, this is the tech spec of our type, like this type for woman, like, but designer one. This is a tech spec. Send us your design. We're going to publish everything, and we're going to, have people like vote on it. That is super effective. It helped the social media, it helped the email. And then, of course, you can embed like discount and offering and thing like that. But the idea is to maintain that conversation on a regular basis.
Sorry, it's a survey on Typeform, or the survey embedded into the email?
Survey embedded in an email, like that's the most effective one.
Wow. What tool do you use for that?
And I should ask the team for that. Like if you want, like I can actually share with people after, like and ask the team. But in general, like we've designed, like we standardizing like our platform, and all the email flows are on Klaviyo. Email flows, like anybody operating an e-commerce store, you should look at your flow while you accompany the customer during like the purchase cycle. It's fantastic what you could do if you with abandoned cart and post-purchase emails is wonderful. Like review how to use the product, small tidbit like a thing like regarding the product after, even a year or 3 months like after purchasing the product. If you engage with something meaningful, it makes sense. Hey, you did buy that. You know what? Look, we just released something that complements it, like, beautifully. This is amazing how just those simple stuff are leveraging the whole thing, because you're not trying just to, shove something in the, and the customer or getting the dollar from the customer. You're just saying, hey, trying to be useful. Like you like that. This is how you can enhance like your overall, your whole thing.
So we've had a couple of e-commerce brands come on to our show. Some are over $25 million in annual revenue, and we've been hearing the same thing: increase the spend on email, decrease in PPC, decrease in SEO, still some SEO, but decrease for sure.
Yeah.
And increase in user-generated content, and decrease in like paid sponsored posts for influencers. Yeah. Do those all resonate with you, or
it's all right? This is 100% on trend. The social media space now, like when people post something, if they've been paid for it, and so on. Those one like are performing like 10, 20 times less than authentic. It's all about authenticity. Customer now they smell the the advertising by a mile. So at some point you even have to think like, not to think marketing, but in some way think more about like product communication, serving the customer. So way more qualitative, like in a way to do that. Less salesy, at least. Unless I am saying that, but there's so many product categories. Some product category are very impulse, and you have to be a little bit more aggressive. But at least for general of what we do, this is more about the experience and how well like we develop like that conversation. And one thing that's maybe that can be interesting for others is, as you move towards more of those content and email stuff, it's true that you spend less on ads and things like that, but you spend more on the team. So you need to bring like more, exactly. So you bring more salary, more people in a team. You need to have the right people that get the brand. They become like the internal brand ambassador that connect like with the external. So that's a cost. Although you not like people tend not to include it on the CAC line because it's not pure spending, still a cost.
you still have a cost, and it goes back to I think the overall trend is reduction in performance marketing and increase in branding activities, branding.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
And so that's still part of your marketing spend. It's called differently. The bucket it has been renamed a little bit. So, okay, back to Nolk for a second. How much are you guys doing in revenue right now? If that is a sure.
Yeah, that I can answer. I'll stay. I still have the other one.
All right.
Yeah. We're with the current portfolio, like we're trending at about like 45 million, like with the current portfolio, but we have also other acquisitions that we're looking to complete in the next 3 months. So our goal is to get to 100 million before like the next like 16 months, like or so. So that's where we are.
Wow. Okay. Tell us about your biggest company. What does that revenue equate to? The biggest company.
We've got that benefits in our roster of business that, this year I think we'll finish around 15 or so, like in the portfolio. We've got another bigger business that is coming that's gonna be over that one. I hope. This is always it's always work in progress. But that's it. So they're our biggest one. Otherwise, the others, like we've got 1 over 10, another one close to 10, and then another group, like a couple, like 1 or 2 or so.
Right. And how profitable, like, talk to us about profitability, ecom. Like, do you look at net profit margins, or you look at EBITDA? Like, what is your...
We're looking at a bit. It's been, we're building an operating holding. So that means that we're investing more in building the global capacity. So we're looking at it twofold. 2 years ago, like the idea was we need to get contribution margin and unit economics right all the time. If you're selling one, like it needs to deliver like profit. And that seems like ridiculous like nowadays, but 4 or 5 years ago, like people were not even looking at that. They were just looking at pure growth,
pure top line.
And think, pure top line. But if you don't get your contribution margin right, you're gonna have a disconnect between your growth and your profit. So that's one. So we fixed that 2021. We work on that a lot, 2022 as well. Now we're a bit of positive as a group. Every one of our brand and branding group like are positive. Like you need to operate a bit of positive today, like period. And what we're working at as a group now is building automation and value to the point where we can operate like it being cash flow positive as well, and start to have like disposable cash that we can reinvest also with the business and so on. So that's our main goal in the next 12 to 24 months to increase like that yield of cash flow. So I'm not even talking about net profit that much. You see, I'm talking about cash flow. Like ultimately, like everything's going to be optimized. And the next 5 years is optimizing for cash flow and reinjecting and growing the business. So that's really something that we've developed, and we're getting better. We're paying all the tech debt and the data debt right now, trying to normalize all the data across all different business in order to have a very pure view of cash flow and be able to have like great forecasting capacity after moving forward.
Yeah.
Okay. It's very boring stuff, but it's very mechanic, but you get to know like with capital.
Oh, and there's probably economies of scale too, right? Once you figure it out with one, you can duplicate it with all the rest. And also, I don't know how your team is structured, but I assume that you did you guys create somewhat of like an internal agency model where you can share resources? Okay, so see, there you go. So you got that going for you as well.
Exactly. So we've kind of nailed the model last year, where we have what we get is like value added, decentralized like structure, where the brand, they keep their P&L and keep the CEO, like they run with the business, but then we have central service where it makes sense. Data, BI, finance, HR. There's an element of culture in HR day to day that remains at the brand level, but you have to get a certain philosophy, like people wise, that start at the top. So those elements, that's where we're investing a lot. Operation this year, that's where we invest like a lot of effort with the team. getting pristine data, accuracy, and then out of which we're going to be able to increase the automation for all the other brands that we're having.
Yeah, and everything is done on Klaviyo, right? For all the suites.
For email, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Wow, as we're done. So marketing is interesting because there's some stuff that makes sense to centralize, like data analytics, customer demographic profile, thing like that. But in terms of execution, it needs to come from the brand, because it needs to come from the people that are, with the customer on the field. We've tried the agency model in the past. It's not working for day to day, but it's working well for projects. So what we have today is that we have a global brand that is led by Jessica Manchester. She's our chief brand, and she has a team that's working on new websites and UI UX improvement, some kind of cross-brand or specific projects.
Very specific.
Exactly. So it's you start your mission, when you're starting, then you finish it, then you jump on another one. But what we've learned, sorry, the autos is going back. What we've learned is that it's better to get someone super focused on one brand than having an Uber specialist and throw 5 different brands and trying to fragment this time. The context switch will be way more difficult. So yeah. So there's stuff that work and stuff that don't work at the consolidated level.
I see. That's very interesting. I mean, most people, when they think about their brand, are thinking about just one. They might just have one e-commerce brand, but you got to think about 15 different ones. It's does it get more challenging? Do you think it's more challenging? Easier because there's so much overlap and synergies. What are
each time you bring a brand, you're adding complexity. So it can become harder and harder if you do nothing about it. So yes, it can become a total shit show if you just pile, because you've got legacy, different thing, and it just gets complex and more complex. You have to deliberately work and do the hard work of simplifying the business at every stage. So last year when we brought the 2 new company, we said, okay, we're not gonna, manage everything centrally. We're gonna have that decentralized approach where there's stuff like day-to-day marketing and the culture and the team management and even the hiring and thing like that. It's going to be run by the GM and the CEO, and they're going to be the most effective at doing that. That has been a nice decision, a very good one. Secondly, now after the new brand that are coming, it will continue to increase. So what we created for the first time a cluster or a brand group. We created a group that we call Emerging Brand, that is led by Eric. Emerging Brand, essentially, it's all our brands that are under $5 million of revenue. We pull them together in a smaller group, and their job is actually to find a way to be effective at managing smaller brand, efficiently, and they run their P&L. So today, I'm managing 4 P&L with 4 CEO, and that's how you keep the business simple. And as we bring more, eventually we're gonna encapsulate similar business and similar industry. So maybe we're gonna have a cluster in apparel or a cluster in furniture. But the way I'm seeing it, it will need to fit on my 2 hands and not more than that in terms of the number of business that would look. For those that are interested, Constellation Software is an aggregator per se, or a buyer of small SaaS software. They've been very effective. I think they've purchased a couple of hundred company, probably 300 or so, or more. They're a public company. It's probably available. And today, I think they have 4 or 5 divisions. That's it. So 4 or 5 divisions. They have one for government software, one for, let's say, marketing software. And under each one, maybe you have 60 different companies. I think it's brilliant. And that's been a source of inspiration. And that's what I want us to continue to build on. Is you just create layer of abstraction to keep it simple. Yeah. And the system needs to follow along the way.
People always think growth is always a good thing, but it's not always. Growth sometimes brings a lot of problems.
Tons. it's destructive unless you attack it. Yeah. 100%. That's what I'm saying. You need to be deliberate. It's more painful to have new business each time, but each time you solve it, then it gets easier. So I'm repeating to the team all the time. It needs to be easier as we get bigger and not the opposite. So each time we see more pain point because we're getting grower, then we get, okay, this is a thing we need to solve and we need to simplify.
Yeah. Yeah. So there are a lot of listeners that will be listening to this podcast that are pretty intermediate, like mid-level marketers, right? And maybe they're probably listening to this and they're like, how do I even get to the stage where I'm, touching every part of the marketing and learn so much? Like, how does my brain even manage all of this? How do I even get the opportunity to learn every single part of the marketing function that you are aware of? You at one point were a mid-level marketer, or like you were pretty junior at one point. How did you go about it? Like, do you just have really good mentors around you? Is it just through time? Is that just the answer? Simple time. You just need more time, or saying yes, say yes to everything. Like, what kind of tips would you give to those mid-level marketers?
Well, specific for me first, like I've always been like more of a generalist, like and never in a position where I was like uber specialist in something. So what I need to be good as being generalist and as the business grow is to be able to speak the same language. So you just need to know enough not to get screwed if you hire the contractual or something, and then be super diligent about like the brief and control and how you manage that. But I mean, nowadays there's so many specialists out there. There's a lot of good people. And when you're paying, an hourly fee for a specific marketer doing whatever, SEO content or whatever, sometimes people don't like externalized because there's poor result. But, of course, if you pay someone and you say, do me that, and you don't give direction and criteria of success and you don't follow them, there's no incentive for them to actually achieve anything. So what I would say, if the team is small and you need to work on many different channels and many different specialties, you got to become very, very good at briefing people and controlling them. And to do that, we need to get just enough knowledge to be able to talk the same language and not being screwed upon. And again, everything is available online. So instead of becoming a crazy specialist in something, maybe you learn a little bit about like a framework and what every channel you're trying to activate is very good. And then you manage your contractor. But that would be my take. Another option is you do one thing crazy good, you go super deep, and this is your winning playbook. And if you've got some yield, then after you jump to the other one. So that would be another approach.
Exactly. I mean, look, I don't think there's any. That's the cool thing about what you just mentioned. I don't think there is a one answer, a one size fit all for everybody. You said you want to generalize. Be a generalist, and so you can touch every single part. I think that's very important. Other people say it's better to just dive really deep into one area and just be the expert in PPC or just be the expert at writing. I don't think there's a right or wrong. There's a lot of founders who just dive deep into one area and just really good in one area, and then they hire teams around them that fill in the gaps.
Yeah,
and some founders like you are generalists, and I don't think there's a red pill, blue pill kind of thing. Like, no, life is not so black and white, right? So,
no. Exactly. There's so many flavor, and depending on where you're trying to build and the market you're in and so on. But yeah, nowadays there's so many channels. The thing that is more difficult is that there's so many ways to talk to your customer nowadays that you can lose yourself a little bit between all of those channels, and you're trying to do a little bit of social, a little bit of content, a little bit of that, a little bit of everything. So if anything, trying to find the one thing that worked first and nail that part. So I think if it at early stage, that's what's important. And at later stage, it's more about what I was describing. It's more about the quality of the control and the management, and how you manage your scaling.
Yeah. So actually, before we jump out, you mentioned you guys are buying a lot of companies. Do you guys use a special site to buy companies?
Yeah, that's an interesting story, and that has been an interesting journey. we started like using broker. There's a lot out there. Empire Flipper, Flippa, Website Builder. I mean, there's a lot of, and there's many other people out there that have nice roster of brand available. But very quickly, we found that we were not finding the do good company that we were looking around. And so we started to build our own database of website. And then we started to scrape those websites to trying to estimate what size of business they were, because we were looking for a certain threshold. And that's where GeniusWire was created. Today you can go on geniuswire.com, and geniuswire.com is a software that we own. And it's essentially our M&A database that we brought public. And people can browse like the roster of brand. We even did the hard work of doing the classification of those websites using machine learning and product type. So today, if you're looking for an independent brand that's making furniture, you go on GeniusWire, you can find it. We also scan like which company is B Corp, which company is 1% for planet, and all that. This is a little bit overkill for our own need, but we wanted to externalize it and expose it to other people. So to get feedback and maybe we're in a process actually of, anybody who's listening, like we're in a process of hiring a GM for that specific product to continue the product market fit and find like what we can do with that. I think we built a gold mine that we just don't know exactly how to exploit it like right now. But it's definitely interesting. Like out there, I would say there's a lot of database of e-commerce signed, but the hard job that we did is that we actually remove all the store and we focus on brand. So we probably have the nicest, cleanest data source of independent brand on the market out there with GeniusWire.
Cool. Well,
I'm throwing that in the universe. Like if someone wants to ping me on that, like
yeah, throw it out in the universe. I mean, you probably know acquire.com, right?
Yeah, as well. True.
Right. So they came, the founder, CEO came on the show. And so I'm sure there's a business out there, like his company. I mean, anyone listening, you can listen to the episode. They're well north of 9 figures in revenue. So this is almost another business for you. It could be a completely new business.
Entirely. And, also early on in 2018, we say, so we're going to build tech to solve our own problem. And maybe some of that tech will be able to spin it out and create something. There's so many examples of fantastic business out there that were built out a little bit haphazard. Sometimes they stay within the company. Sometimes they've been externalized. Twitter originated from advertising agency, if I remember, like totally different. Yeah, AWS, like Amazon was selling book, like and thing like that, and then they spawn off like biggest cloud services out there.
Samsung started off as a fishing market.
Oh,
they started off as a fishing market.
Huh.
Right? Like that's crazy. So companies transition all the time, right? Until you find out one mill.
Educate yourself and read. I love old entrepreneur story, because there's so many pivot early on. And this is just so fascinating, like how you start something and you don't know exactly like how it's going to end up. So who knows? I remember like Nokia, which made cell phone, like used to make gumboot, and now they're still making equipment. There's all sorts of things. So picture Nolk in 50 years. Maybe we're going to build, who knows?
Who knows? Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, Alex. And I think we're just about time. Before we wrap up, anything crazy that we should be looking forward to in the next 6 to 12 months on the radar, so we can follow along the journey? Any big major announcements that we should be on the lookout for?
Oh, on our side,
yeah. Or I'll leave it up to you. You want to do that, or you can give any last marketing remarks. I'll leave it up to you, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, true. Appreciate that. Well, of course, you can follow our next acquisition and what we're building and all that. If you link to our page at Nolk or go to Nolk.com. Yeah, exactly. So that's always the best way. But no, otherwise, and again, throwing something in the universe. I said that at another podcast. What we're working on right now and thing, we haven't come up with anything yet, but we're looking for a easy solution to get the carbon footprint of everything that we're selling and consume. Customers are demanding transparency in the labeling issue and thing like that. And there's been a gap in that transparency. There's a monopoly, like it's called GS1. If people want to look at it, they manage all the barcode out there for every product, but somewhat they're not yet like full on. It's a huge endeavor, but if someone can figure out the same way DeFi actually figure out a way to do better banking, someone figure out how to do better labeling, transparency for a product. I'm looking at that. We're trying to look at that problem as well. If others want to tackle it, we might come up with something in 12 months on that, but open to collaboration on this topic in Portugal.
Okay. And the best way to reach out to you is LinkedIn, or you use
LinkedIn is amazing. Yeah, LinkedIn is amazing. I'm responding usually for the fast, or otherwise, Nolk.com, it's out there. Can write to us, can write to any of our brand. We're nice people. We're open. So, yeah.
Well, Alex, it's been a pleasure talking to you and taking 3 shots of hot sauce on the show. Excited for our next, maybe we'll talk before the end of the year or maybe next year and see where you guys are at. Maybe you guys are already surpassed the $100 million mark. Who knows? We'll see.
Maybe. Who knows? Yeah, no, exactly. Why not? There's a possibility.
Yes. But anyways, thank you so much for joining and appreciate your time. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Simon. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
So I hope you liked that episode. Rather than sitting here and telling you to hit that subscribe button or smash the like button, I'll say this instead. Send me a screenshot if you actually liked one of our episodes or you subscribed to our channel, and I'll take the next hot sauce shot with your name on it. Even better, you can come on the show, ask questions, and take hot sauce shots together with the next CEO, CMO, or founder that comes on the show. I hope that you've learned a few things or two listening to some of our episodes. We post every Friday. And finally, if you have any feedback or ways that I can improve the show, let me know. Thanks. See you on the next one.